see dead people.
Welcome to Blondes and Booze. You are about to embark on a journey, one that often leads to more questions than answers. But fear not, your host, Krista, Aaron, and Brandi have the experience, the perseverance, and yes, even the gifts to pull back the veil and allow us to glimpse the other side. They will share not only their experiences, but will introduce you to world-renowned researchers and experiencers to help you find answers in the murky waters of what we call the paranormal. Their bonds with each other reach far beyond friendship, resulting in a pull-no-punches approach to the many subjects they explore. Their goal? To open eyes, hearts, and even minds to what lies on the other side, and the answers residing there.
Okay, that was a brain fart. Forgot to add us back to the stage, Brandi.
It was too much turkey yesterday.
I guess, something. Welcome, everybody. Thank you. We appreciate everybody being here tonight, and we hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving and got to spend time with their families.
Yes. It was weird. You know, Krista and I were talking last night on the phone, and we're like, I'm bored. She said, I am too.
I know, because, usually we do shows on Thursday nights, and we didn't.
And then we ended up with nothing to do. That's about normal.
So normal for us. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, right.
Any other time, we'd be like, oh man, I'm rushing to get the show, And yeah, last night we're just twiddling our thumbs, talking on the phone.
That's how bad we are.
Right.
We're not on a show together, but we'll call each other on the phone.
Yeah. We still have to get our fix.
I know. Yeah, because, Krista calls me every morning when, on her way to work, and we didn't even have that. So it was like, Joe, something's wrong.
Right? That's what it felt like, huh? No, it was good.
Yeah,
I had a good holiday.
Absolutely.
Did you have a good holiday?
I did. It was a very lazy day. I put up the Christmas trees. I have 3. I didn't get them all decorated, but I got 3 up. So, hey, cool. I was doing something yesterday.
Awesome. I did that today. I put our tree up today. So
yeah, and I got my little gnome back here. He's up.
I see that. You're in the Christmas festive spirit.
Yes, I have to change it out with the season, and there he is. I didn't know if he was quite going to fit because he's kind of large, I thought, is it going to fit the screen?
He fits. He's cool. He's a cool dude, man. Does he have a name?
Nope. I've not named him.
You need to.
I know. We need to name him something.
You do. You need to name him something. Come on now. Well, we definitely appreciate everybody tuning in. And like I said, hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving and didn't overeat. That's the key, right?
Well, it's the only day that I say, overeat. I mean,
right.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go for it. We skipped out on Thanksgiving dinner, honestly, and I had dinner with my brother and his family and my son, my granddaughter, and my daughter-in-law, and we went to Cracker Barrel, and that was fine. It was fine by me. We had no mess,
Right. Well, Be Kind says name him Fred. I was thinking Alfred.
There you go. Name him Fred.
Fred. That's his name. We'll call him Fred. He's good.
Okay.
That's Fred.
That's my dad's name.
Is it really? Fred. There you go.
Yeah.
Fred.
Yeah, we got some events coming up. Do you want to talk about those, Brandi?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
All right. We'll talk about briefly on this one. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, this is in Schertz, Texas, January 27th. This is put on by the Kling Brothers. If you're down there in that area, this is near San Antonio, Austin area, that neck of the woods. It's going to be super exciting. Of course, we have Jason Hawes, you know him already. And then we have Lyle Blackburn, him already, but we need to talk about Tim from Skinwalker Ranch.
No, it's Thomas.
Oh, Thomas. Sorry.
Thomas
I keep calling him Tim. Why do I call him Tim?
I don't know.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. Thomas. Jeez, oh, Pete's, Lord help me. It's going to be one of them shows. You bet your money on it.
Right.
But anyway, he's going to be there. And Krista and I have never met him, and we're interested in talking with him. So that's going to be exciting. There's a few more people that we've talked to that are interested in going, and Krista and I will be going as long as the weather is good. That is a very long trip for us, so we'll be driving. So as long as there's no ice storms, snowstorms, blizzards, whatever, we're going to be there. So
and Paranormal Pixie, it is January 27th, 2024.
Yeah, January 27th. Yes.
In Schertz, Texas. So I'm hoping that the weather will be crappy here, and then we go down there and it's nice and warm.
Yeah. Well, I don't want it to be crappy anywhere. I just want it to be warmer there. That's all.
Yeah, warmer. That's what I mean.
Yeah. No weather, just warmer.
Right.
That's it.
Right. Exactly. All right. The next event, we have this. This is something that Blondes and Booze is teaming up with After Dark Paranormal. And Brandi, I'll let you talk about this too.
Well, first of all, Terry says Terry Lovelace is going to be there, and she wants us to get a pic. So remember that.
Okay. Awesome.
So we'll send it to you, Terry. Anyway,
sure.
This is Terry Mosby's team that we're teaming up with, and we're doing 3 separate haunted events, which is absolutely fantastic. Our Ashmore Estates event, which is the May 18th, we're actually going to have a few speakers come on, and they're going to be announced soon. And then we're going to have a dinner available for all attendees for the ghost hunt for that night. So you can either come for the conference or you can stay for dinner and go hunting with us.
And right now we do have 2 confirmed speakers. One is Josh Hurd, which a lot of you guys have seen him on our shows. And I know he's been on BMRs, and I know he's going to be on Texas Front Porch. And then he's the owner of Malvern Manor. And then Robin Terry, who actually owns Ashmore Estates. He's also going to be there. And we're working on a couple others, and we will announce them once we get, for sure notifications. And then Paranormal Pixie, she said, "Are you the organizer? And you should ask Sarah Lamos to appear if you are." You know what? I actually had thought about reaching out to her for the Ray County Museum event. So that's a possibility, for sure. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. And, that brings me to our next event, which is Saturday, July 19th. That is at Malvern Manor. That is Josh Hurd's property. That's the one he owns. We're going to have that. We had one there this last summer, and we had a super blast. Crystal McGee was there with her daughter. There was a couple other people. We just had a blast. Terry Mosby was there with us. It was just super, super fun. And we're looking forward to do that one again. Yep. And of course, Ray County, one of our favorite places in the whole wide world.
That's our home base there.
Our home base is October 19th. So,
and at that one, I do have, I did talk to KD Stafford on that one. So we will have KD Stafford at that one. So
Nice. And if you don't know who KD Stafford is, he was on shows with, Dave Schrader, Devil's Perch and Ghost of Devil's Perch. And then he was on Ghost of Morgan City with Ben Hansen and with Sarah Lamos. And and
also Ghost Brothers. He's done
Ghost Brothers. Yes.
He's done a lot. He's known as the paranormal mad scientist. So he's a cool dude. We like KD. So
right. Maybe
yeah.
we can get him to do some weird experiments. He's always got something.
Absolutely.
Some new equipment that he's come up with. So it's really cool.
Yeah. And then at each of these places too, there's going to be dinner. As Brandi mentioned at Ashmore, we're doing a pizza. And then at Malvern Manor, we're going to do a taco bar for all the attendees. And at the Ray County Museum, we're doing a pasta bar for all the attendees. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, so come meet with us and we'll go ghost hunting.
Yeah, and also at the Ray County Museum, we're kind of doing like a Paranormal Cryptid 101 as well.
Right.
For that day. And Terry and her team, After Dark Paranormal, are going to kind of talk on the paranormal side of things. And then Brandi and I are going to do a little talking on Bigfoot and Dogmen and Mothman and all that good stuff. So anyway, it's going to be fun. And if anybody's interested and need more information, you can contact blondesandbooze@gmail.com and we'll get back with you. And tickets are on sale. So
yeah, they're on sale on Eventbrite, by the way. Just look up Blondes and Booze events and you'll find them right there.
Yep. And then last but not least, let's talk about this one. This is actually Texas Front Porch meets Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Yes.
That's going to be
This is going to be good.
It is. It is. You want to talk about that one, Brandi?
Absolutely. This is June 8th. We are, these tickets, we've made them as dirt cheap as possible. So anybody can attend, that is in the area, or if you can get to the area. We didn't want it to be so expensive, all this. We just want everybody to come have a good time.
Absolutely.
Come see us, have some laughs, listen to whatever we got to say, I guess. And, and just join us. And the night before that, I think June 7th, we're going to have kind of like a meet and greet. We're going to go out to eat. The only thing that you're required is to buy your meal and reserve yourself a seat. That's it.
Yep.
You don't have to pay for nothing. Just reserve yourself a seat and pay for your own meal. And, you're in. That's it. Just reserve a seat. That's all you got to do.
Absolutely. And then after that, we were going to, I'll let you tell them about that.
Well, after that, we were going to go have a couple drinks at a place across the street. We will make more information available. If, we're getting the website together, but it does have a lot of information on it now. You can go to BamaBigfootConference.com and get any more information there. You can also purchase tickets on there. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure can. And tickets are on sale now.
Yes. Yes.
So, and there's also spots for vendors. We are taking vendors. So it's going to be fun, especially the Texas Front Porch meets Brotherhood of the Wolf, because Brandi and I are members of both.
Yeah. We're kind of sitting in the middle of that.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. We're looking forward to that, though. But it's got some great speakers there. I know a lot of you guys have seen like Barton and Martin Groves, at other conferences, and they're just, both of them guys are wealth of information. And then, add in BMR and Jason and Greg and Daryl and Tex is emceeing it. So, I mean, you can't get much better.
No, absolutely not.
So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, it is. And I like that it was made affordable, that more people could come if they wanted to. It's a bigger venue than what they had last year. It is in Anniston, Alabama. It's not far from Birmingham. Right. Like I said, it's just, I like the idea of less money, because times are tough. It's tough on me. I know it's got to be tough on everybody else. And even though we want to go to these things, some of these events have priced me right out of going. There's no way possible that I could go.
Absolutely. Paranormal Pixie, she says, I'm seriously thinking about changing my plans for the Belvoir to go to Malvern. I'll tell you what, you are a member, Paranormal Pixie, and I did post something in there. Any of our members, they do get a discount, and I did put the code in there. And if you need it again, I would be happy to give it to you. So you will get a discount on the 3 events that Brandi and I are personally putting on with After Dark Paranormal. So
right.
So, yeah. And Gary says Crystal J and I will be there. Awesome. I think he's talking about the Alabama, but yeah, it'd be fun conference.
Any one of them. Just come to any one of them. I don't care.
Yeah, we'd love to see all of you guys. And I did hear rumor too that PRT, Josh Turner, is also talking about doing another Dogman conference. And of course, we'll be at that one. So just waiting on a date for that one. So
yeah, we're just waiting on the information to make sure it all can happen,
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So anyway, you were telling me before the show that you were binge watching Grey's Anatomy. Let me tell you what I've been binge watching.
What's that?
I watch the Osbournes on YouTube. They have a podcast.
Oh.
Yeah. And I tell you what, they crack me up. I'm just saying. And I've been binge watching them.
Yeah. With me with Grey's Anatomy, it's been on forever. And I never watched it one time. I don't know why. I just never did. And then I started watching the first episode today, and I went through the whole first season, and I'm starting the second one. I went, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing?
Right? That's funny. Yeah. I'm on this Osbournes kick, though. I'm a huge fan of Ozzy, though. I like his music.
Right.
So, and then I like Jack, he does the paranormal. So,
right.
So, yeah, it's all good. You know what we forgot to do is mention to everybody about the shows for the week.
Oh, yeah, those.
Yeah, those.
Those. On Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central, of course, is Texas Front Porch with Tex and myself. On Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central, it's Beyond BMR with Bigfoot Michigan Rob and his co-host Krista. Yeah, they switch. She's on Tuesday nights now. On Wednesdays at 7 p.m., it's Donnie Cho Says Stuff. At 8 p.m., it is, of course, in Humanoids with Barton Nunnelly. They're doing a weekly show now. So if you haven't watched it, make sure you tune in, like, and subscribe. And on Wednesdays, oh gosh, I'm getting confused here. On Wednesdays, I got that. Thursdays, here we go. Thursdays. At 12 p.m. Central, it is Brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and his co-host is now Tex. He is doing Thursday afternoons. Thursday evenings at 8 p.m., it's Blondes and Booze. On Fridays at 8 p.m. Central, it's Blondes, Booze, and the Woo. On Saturday at 2 p.m. Central, Tex and Danielle Diva release their newest episode of Infamous Minds. And on Sunday nights at 6 p.m., a special shout out to Midwest Night Watchers.
You have that down pat. I'm telling you.
Yeah, now that I have it down, everybody's switching spots and where they're going. So now I got to keep that in mind.
Well, Tex and I switched. Honestly, he switched hours for his job, and I switched jobs. So I couldn't do Thursdays during the day anymore. I have a real 9-to-5 job now, and so he and I switched, and it worked out good for both of us.
Yeah, and then he switched the time on Mondays, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
because his hours switched.
Yeah,
to get up in the mornings.
It's just like, wow, okay.
Yep, absolutely. So anyway, it's all good, and there's a bunch of good shows out there to watch, guys. And
absolutely,
I recommend anybody today. Barton Nunnelly put out a new video. Go watch it. It was really good. It was about the LBL, and he had Ron Moorhead there, and it was good. It was a good one. So when you're done here, go watch that one. Yeah, there you go. Speaking of the LBL, we last weekend we had an eventful weekend. We Brandi and I went to Land Between the Lakes last Friday night, and then I stayed at Land Between the Lakes on Saturday, and Brandi hightailed it to Ohio State Reformatory.
Yeah,
you had a busier weekend than I did. You had a lot of driving.
Yeah, it was a ton of driving, because I drove over to the LBL, which is very close to me. I mean, that's not a huge deal. But then after we got there and set up camp, and this was way before you got there, Krista, and we set up the other parts of the camp, and then we did some hiking, and then, well about till 1 something in the morning, we were out hiking. We were everywhere that night, driving everywhere, walking everywhere, trying to find stuff. And then I got up early Saturday morning and stayed around as long as I could, actually longer than I should have. Mm-hmm. And then I had to drive to Ohio. So when I got to Ohio, then we were meeting everybody, for dinner and things like that. And then, we tried to get an early night's sleep, which we didn't do so bad. We didn't do so bad. And then, of course, Saturday, we went out. We had to take a look at this place to see what I was, to see what I was getting into. I wanted to go look at it. It's
right.
You can't get in unless you're taking the tour, and I didn't want to do that. But I just wanted to look at it.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
Yeah, and I looked at it for a long time. A long time. This sucker was massive.
So do you want to talk about the LBL first, or do you want to talk about Ohio State? It's up to you. We can talk about
we can start off with the LBL and work through the LBL, and then we'll work our way into Ohio State.
Okay, sounds good. So you got there to the LBL before I did. You want to talk about it? I know you guys went hiking.
Yeah, we got there. I got there about noon, and then Letitia and Bart came in just a little bit after me. And, we got the campsite set up and pretty much doing what we're going to do. And we were waiting until, a few more people got there. And so we decided to go. I wanted to go out to Station 16, and I wanted to go look around out there to see what I could see. I was hopeful, but I'm like, this is hunting season. I didn't think that I was going to see anything. I really didn't. I didn't. Anything out there is going to be hiding or way far away from anyone, within a distance, So we went out to Station 16, and I'm out there looking around, and, I saw a ton of deer.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because they're all moving into campsites. They already know. It's like they've got this routine down. It's like when hunting season comes along, they hear that first shot, all of them move into the campgrounds or somewhere near a road or something like that, because you can't shoot when you're on the road and you can't shoot in a campground. So, the deer were just crazy out there everywhere. You had to watch driving down the road at any time because they were out trying to get something to eat and all this other kind of stuff before they were going to go hide somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that. Well, I'd walked into Station 16. The building is there. And I had opened the door, which is actually in a clip that I've got. And
I have it on here to play.
And there is a bone inside this building. It looked like a deer jaw to me. It's inside the building with the door shut. Now, I can understand if an animal got in there.
Sure.
But I don't know how it would have got out. Yeah. And I looked all around, I looked for scat. I looked for, anything, any claw marks, anything to say, hey, there was something in there. I didn't see anything.
Yeah. Yep.
You
want me to play the video?
Yeah, go ahead and we'll show it. It's just a short, all mine are short little clips that I had pulled out.
Well, this one it looks like it's a 2-minute video.
Yeah, is it of a building? Does it show a building right there?
I can't tell what the clip is. I didn't watch them beforehand. I just put them on.
That's okay. Just play whatever.
Everybody else. Okay.
Yeah. Just play whatever.
Let's play this here.
Yeah. Okay, so here we are. Station 16. I'm going to do my best to walk around here without tripping and falling here. There's a lot of down trees. Oh, can you get up there? I got Letitia Nunnelly with me today. Woo! Okay, ho-oh.
You need help?
I just slid on those.
Wet leaves?
Yeah, on the wet leaves, yeah.
So here's the hole that we'll jump down in.
What was that? Is that a bone?
Yes, it's a bone.
Oh, there it is. Right there. There's a nice little bone hanging out there.
Here's where Bart jumped down in here.
Is there anything down there?
No, he says just a room about the same size as this, maybe a little bigger, with another part of the, we're assuming it was a water pump.
Yeah?
So.
Wow. They better do something with this, so this won't stand very long.
It's not going to stand up very long at all.
Yeah, it's about done. We were crawling up here, and I got to get down. And we're crawling up here and saw a deer just run right down the dang hill.
Yeah, they'd be running for those kids this weekend.
Oh, I know.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I mean,
So just to let you know that we are at Station 16. There it is. It's way out in here, middle of nowhere.
there's an old building we can go explore down here.
Yeah, let's go do that.
But you're really careful because there's like holes
Yeah.
through here, but we can follow the deer track. At least kicked up the leaves for us a little bit.
All right. We're going to go find something else to explore.
There you go.
Yeah. And that's pretty much what we spend our day doing is we were just out there exploring. Later on that evening, it really started to rain, and it rained on us pretty good. And we still probably had, I don't know, a quarter mile to the vehicles, and we were just completely wet, but that didn't stop us because then we ended up going out that night. And because of course I got to go find rocks, so we're going and looking at rocks and stuff. And they took me out to this dry creek bed that I was down in, and it looks like that the rocks are burnt. They're all black. They look like they're burnt, like they were set on fire.
I was there then for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So what it really is it's just an algae that is covering the rocks right now that makes it look like they're burnt, but they're not burnt. You can pick them up and wipe them off, and it comes off. So
Mark Cryptoville there, he was there too this weekend. He says, "I'm glad Brandi wasn't filming me when I slipped and fell." It was very easy to do because it was wet out and the leaves cover everything. So any of the rocks or
well, he got down in there looking at rocks with me, and I wasn't turning around looking, and it was slippery. This is when it started, raining and stuff, and it was slick down in there because we were right on the side of, the water, and it was slick. So you just had to be careful because I almost fell right where he fell. Yeah. It was the same exact place. I was like, "Ooh, watch it." I almost fell right there. Well, he comes walking up just a few minutes later and just slipped.
Right.
So
I'm
glad he didn't hurt himself because we'd have been in trouble. That was a long way back to the vehicles.
Absolutely. So my friend Kelly, I went to high school with, she wanted to come with us. So she rode to the LBL with me, and we got there and we all decided to, where did we go that night, Brandi?
We actually went up to Downs 2, the cemetery. It's called Downs 2. That's no joke. That's what it's called. And this particular cemetery out in the LBL is not well maintained. There are big trees down. You can tell how old it is because some of the markers are just stones. They're not headstones or anything. They are just stones.
Yep.
So
I actually got rushed by some sort of entity, and I'm talking on the dead side, nothing living. And I got real dizzy. And Larry Joe Fisher was there with us at night, and War Criminal, who's in chat, he was there. And actually, War Criminal kind of hung with me because I got dizzy. I felt like I was going to pass out. So the cemetery itself, as Brandi said, is super old, very overgrown. Yeah. And there is a grave there that somebody, War Criminal, he says, "I'm heading to that cemetery tonight. You better not." We had this discussion, War. Anyway, but they say that somebody's seen a dog man come out of one of the graves, is what they say, and that's something that brings me to, I believe if somebody saw a dog man come out of a grave, I do believe, like it came out as a dog man, looking like a dog man. However, I do feel like the demonic entity, they play on fears. And if somebody was there and they knew about dogmen, it's going to show as a fear. So that is one cemetery I will say, and I don't use the demon word very often because they are out there, but they're few and far between. But I wholeheartedly believe that there's a demonic entity out there. I don't get dizzy for nothing. Only when that entity is around.
Yeah. And guess who's out there tromping around?
Yeah. I wanted to leave. I was done. I'm like, I'm not playing with this stuff. I'm ready to go.
And I'm out there, because I really wanted to see this, because you hear the reports and you hear the stories. Well,
Sure.
I'm that person. I've got to go see what you're talking about and kind of say, okay, so they said that there was a dog man coming up out of this grave or whatever. Could it have come around the grave? Could they have mistaken it from coming around the grave? Because it is a rather large headstone. It's not small. It is rather large. So I'm like, well, could it have done this? Or, could it have been a shadow coming out of there? Because as we shone a light on it, it cast a really weird shadow. So I'm like, maybe it could have been, like a coyote or something they just caught a shadow of, or, but
yeah,
I don't know. It does have a very weird feel. It's not one of those where I felt like, I don't know, easy. Because a lot of cemeteries that I go in, I feel easy. Like it's just like you can breathe. It's
they're
nice.
Not scary,
it's restful. Yeah, it's nothing like this. This was very tense. It's very tense. The woods all around it are very dense in there, so you can't see through it. Even though there's no leaves on it, the trees and things like that, you still can't see through it. It's that dense. So it did leave you with that uneasy type feeling that you wouldn't be feeling good out there with just you and someone else.
No,
it would make me feel very uneasy.
Yeah,
but as we went out there
in my years, and no part of that place, I'll never go back there. I have no desire to go back to that cemetery.
Yeah,
and
there are so many. Yeah, there are so many other cemeteries in the LBL. I personally don't think I have to go back to that one, but that doesn't mean I won't go to another one because I want to see them all. So, so far that's the weirdest one.
Yeah, it's just that cemetery is just not right. And like I said, do I believe a dog man came out of that grave? I believe whoever seen it saw a dog man, but I don't believe it was truly a dog man. I believe that it was a demonic entity. That's what I believe.
Yeah. Like I said, there's like I said, we looked at it and you could see many different scenarios and how that could have happened. Which one is right? We'll never know. So we just have to take the report as it is, that it came up out of there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So after that, where'd we go? We went to the other side. We went to that bridge.
Yeah, we went to the bridge. And there's this bridge. They've got it blocked off. You can't drive your vehicle across it, but you can walk across it. And we did. Again, it was kind of slippery and raining and things like that. And we all had, basically there was 3 or 4 of us in a group as we were moving. So we were good. And I didn't hear anything or didn't see anything. Basically for cryptid, it was very uneventful for me that night. I didn't have anything happen.
No, I would agree with you. There wasn't anything like out of the ordinary, like we were hearing things in the woods or nothing like that. No, not at all on Friday night. Nope.
I was sad, but yeah, that's the way it went down.
Yeah.
So if anybody asks us, nothing happened.
Yeah. Just that cemetery, and that was just odd,
Yeah, it was just a weird feeling, it's just a feeling when you get somewhere like you're being watched by something, and then you hear things in the trees, but hey, it could be a deer, it could be whatever running around.
Right.
So we didn't really know, and we tried to look, but like I said, at the cemetery, the woods were really dense and you couldn't see anything. So.
Yeah. Yep. So then fast forward to Saturday, Brandi had to get up and leave.
Yeah.
To go to Ohio State, and the rest of us stuck around, and War was with us, and we went up to Mount Pleasant Cemetery and all that area, and just kind of, peeked around there for a little while, and Anna and Michelle, who are both in chat, Joan Stud Farms and Tales from the Narc Side, go like and subscribe their channels, please. But they came, and I got to tell you, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. We called it Camp Thanksgiving dinner. I mean, it was like they brought a full Thanksgiving dinner. So
I was a little jealous. A little jealous.
Yeah, they rock. Let me tell you, it was good too. Very, very good. They rocked. So
yeah, you get all them ladies together, you're not starving. I promise you. All you got to do is get firewood and grab a plate. That's all you need.
Yep. And I think War brought all the firewood. So that was cool. Thanks to him for that. But we'll back up a little bit. So we ate a late dinner. We ate probably, I don't know, it was probably 9 or 10 o'clock because Bart did a live. And we went to a old homestead out there, old abandoned homestead. And that was really cool. I got to tell you, some weird stuff did happen there. So I was following Bart with his phone, filming him. And we went to, like, there was one barn, and then we went up to another barn, and then there's a silo. And at this time, Michelle, Tales from the Narc side, she was there with us. It was Michelle, Letitia, myself, Bart, my friend Kelly, and Larry Joe Fisher. And the door to the silo came open. That was weird. It wasn't windy. It wasn't,
That was in the video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, because I watched those.
Yeah.
I was jealous. I was sad and jealous.
So that was weird. And then, so there was this old abandoned barn that I think Michelle and Bart and Letitia and Larry Joe went in, and me and Kelly stood outside, and we were hearing something in the woods. Kelly and I were. And we would shine the flashlight, and we didn't see anything. Granted, it could have been an animal. I'm not saying it wasn't, but it sounded big. So you would think, if it was a deer or something, you would see it. You know what I'm saying? And we never did see it. So they came out of there, and we started trampling through the woods. And this was weird. So I really thought we were in the woods for, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes. And at this time, Bart's still filming. And we came out at a spot that it didn't seem like we were supposed to be at that spot. We should have came out at a different place. And Larry Joe Fisher made that comment. Kelly made that comment. It was the three of us. And we're like looking at each other like, how did we end up here? How did we come out here? Because we shouldn't have. I don't know how that happened. I can't explain that. And then Letitia, when I caught up with her, she said the same thing. So what happened there? I really don't know. I don't know if we just really got, turned around. But, Bart's in the woods all the time. He has a good sense of direction. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't know, did we walk through a portal? I don't know. I can't explain that. So anyway, by this time, I'm getting cold. And they're still filming. And Kelly and I went back to my car, and War Criminal 7 and Anna was there in their cars. And Letitia came back, and they all went to, there's a house right there. And like I said, I was cold. So I didn't go to that house. And Letitia came back, and it was time to leave. The live was over. And by this time we're all hungry, knowing what food we have waiting for us back at camp.
Right. Right.
And Letitia got in the car, and Kelly, she's like, I feel a little dizzy. I don't feel very good. And Letitia said, I feel sick. I'm like, oh boy. Okay, let's get you back to camp. And she's like, yeah, it's just kind of, queasy a little bit. And she ate, and she, she was kind of quiet at dinner, and just not herself, because Letitia is very outgoing and very bubbly. She really kind of wasn't. Right. So after eating, she's like, guys, I feel really sick. I'm going to bed. And so by this time, I was cold still. And we were sleeping. All of us were sleeping in a tent. And we had electric blankets and all that good stuff to keep us warm. So we did not get cold. However, so we were in the tent, and Letitia got really, really sick, like vomiting sick. And so that happened. And then she felt a little bit better. And I had to use the restroom. So I got up. We were camped right by the restrooms. So I went over there, and in the restrooms, the heat's on, so you can't hear nothing in there. Well, apparently, Letitia and Anna and Kelly heard, I don't know, some kind of a loud growl. Like, it was super loud. And at this time, Bart had taken Larry Joe Fisher in to get gas for his vehicle for his trip home the next day. And so Letitia, I go back there and to the tent, and she's like, "Did you hear that?" And she was like getting up to check on me to make sure I was all right. I said, "I didn't hear nothing," Well, apparently they heard this loud growl. And so she called Bart because he had the keys to her car where her weapon was. So they came back. But anyway, I guess Bart and them, they walked around camp and looked, but they didn't see anything. So that next day, Letitia, she's actually still not herself. So I don't know. Did we walk through a portal? I don't know. I really don't know, but she is the only one that got sick. And you would think if she had the flu or some kind of stomach bug, one of the rest of us would have got it by now, but nobody did.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well,
I don't know.
It makes sense. It makes sense because you and I have both heard.
Oh, thank you,
Shane. Thank you.
Thank you.
You and I have both heard that of the reports of dogmen right in that area. I mean, not only dogmen, Bigfoot are in the area.
Right.
So, does it surprise me that you're hearing a growl like that? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because there was hardly anybody in the campground. There was a few people, but some of them were there, some of them weren't,
Yeah.
And
well, some people are saying it sounds like food poisoning. It wasn't, because we hadn't even eaten yet, and she was feeling nauseated, and Kelly was feeling off. So I don't know. It was just weird. Was it because we got turned around? Did we walk through a portal? I don't know. And maybe their bodies didn't react well to it. I don't know. I can't answer that.
And the LBL is so mysterious because what we've also talked about? We've also talked about the military presence. We've talked about that, things being underground where people have heard like a motor running underneath the ground, all these things. You guys may have run across something like that or crossed through something like that. Because we all know that EMFs can make you feel sick. What if something is emitting that?
Yeah.
You and I are better off at it. We can get through that. We know exactly what it is when we feel it. Mm-hmm. But maybe Letitia didn't.
Yeah. Maybe
but
not.
There's another video that I sent you that, okay, so this may be another thing that might have brought the growl too. Because I want to show you the food source was filing into our campsites.
That's true. You did send me that.
I did.
I think it might be this video. It looks like it's 36 seconds. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But this is what it shows you, what's filing into our campsite as, we're there, we're up, we're walking around, and you're just seeing this.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and play it.
Could this bring an apex predator in?
Zoom in. Okay.
All right.
Lots of deer.
That's what I mean. The food source was piling in. So could that have brought an apex predator? Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. Because the food's coming in there because that's where they're safe. They're trying to hide from the hunters, because the hunters are all out there and they're just trying to find a place to feel safe. So,
yeah, I don't know. It was just really weird. People are saying infrasound. Maybe Letitia did get struck by infrasound. I don't know. All I know is that she was sicker than a dog and has not been herself all week. So it's I have no idea. I can't explain that. I can't explain what happened.
That is super strange. That she would be the only one. The only other logical explanation would be the day before when we were out hiking, we got soaked, all of us.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know.
I mean,
well, and here's the thing though, like when we were up at that barn and Kelly and I were hearing something in the woods there, I did Rob's show this past Tuesday night, Bigfoot, Michigan, Rob show with him. And the guest there was talking about fairies. And you know what? It kind of hit me like maybe it could have been some sort of fairies that Kelly and I was hearing, and we couldn't see them. When we would shine the lights over there, there was nothing. But we clearly heard them. Clearly.
Yeah, but that's normal for us there. We'll hear noise, and then we look, and then there's absolutely nothing. There's nothing.
So it could have very well been, I don't know. It could have been the fae, I don't know. I can't explain it. So that honestly, I gotta say, was a weird night. That was a weird night. I can't explain it. Because it sounds like, even if it is like a time loss. Yeah.
I mean, could it make you feel sick? Or, I mean, it's just kind of like you don't even know where you are. You should have come out somewhere else, but you didn't.
Yeah. It was just the weirdest thing, because that is not where I thought we would come out. And neither did anybody else. So I don't know.
No.
I feel like we turned to the right, but we ended up coming out on the left, which was weird. Can't explain it.
Yeah. Because, I was riding around. This is a different time. I was riding around with Tex, and we're in Brown Springs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So somehow, when we were driving around, we ended up on the other side of the highway, but we never crossed the highway.
Yeah.
And we don't know how we did that, because we would have had to cross that highway no matter where we went.
Yeah.
And we didn't. But we ended up on the other side and don't know how we got there. So,
real quick, Cryptidville, I missed this comment. Mark said, so when we all went to the cemetery that Friday night, Mark stayed back at camp. And he said, I saw something large cross through that area while you guys were gone. Meaning like, where they heard the growl from. So I don't know. Guys. The LBL is just a weird place.
Yeah. But like I said, we do have to say this. Krista heard it from a park ranger's mouth.
Yep.
That they were sightings in that area this year.
Yep.
There was also a Bigfoot sighting, and there was also paranormal sighting.
Yeah. So what he did say is he told me that there were kids that saw a dog man right there in camp. Mm-hmm. And then this is what really threw me, because you know how park rangers deny everything. Oh, no, there's none of that. We don't do that. He told me that there was over 15 Bigfoot sightings in that campground alone. So tell me they're not keeping track of them.
No doubt.
What does that tell you? That told me everything I need to know. And honestly, we were hoping that same park ranger was there, because I really would have liked to have talked to him, because I mean, he was just super, super nice guy. And, don't want him to lose his job. So I don't want to say what campground we were at, because he did not have to tell me that, but he's a true believer. And, he's been there when people have seen these things. So
yeah, he didn't have to. Have to. And he probably would have denied it if, somebody else had asked him. But just because of who we were, he was like, yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that he said over 15, so they keep track of them. That's what blew me away. So they deny this all the time, Yeah. So anyway.
It's really unnerving.
Yeah.
That they come into the campgrounds when it's packed, like they are sometimes during the summer. These places are full, and you have to get, your cabin or camp spot. You have to get them way in advance. So it is kind of scary when that happens.
Brandi and I, we took our daughters. We both have 13-year-old daughters. They wanted to go to the LBL. So we took them in our May trip with everybody. And, our girls thought we were just as mean as can be, because we wouldn't let them go to the park. However, it's out of sight. We wouldn't be able to see them. We were these awful parents. They were both ticked at us because we would not let them walk to the park. However, after, hearing these stories and stuff, and there was kids, little 5 and 6 year old kids riding bicycles through there. And, I just like, man, these parents, they only knew,
Right. And then, you got to remember the human element.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's always there.
Absolutely. So, our kids thought we were awful parents, but you know what? I stick by it. I have no regrets of not letting them go to the park.
No,
Just,
I'm more scared of people sometimes.
Right,
And
absolutely.
in those situations, it had been easy to take a child and you'd never know, not until
Right.
later.
Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. You know what? We are already coming up on the 52-minute mark.
Yeah.
Wow. This has been a fast one. So when we come back, we pretty much talked all the LBL. We will talk about Ohio State Reformatory. And Brandi had a weird experience, and she's going to talk about that. And we have some videos from Ohio State Reformatory that Brandi, filmed and stuff. Sorry, Brittany's my daughter.
I know, she must be thinking about you or something.
Yeah,
Spit out her name.
Something. But so yeah, guys, when we come back, stay tuned and hang tight, and we'll be back in 5 minutes, and we will talk about Ohio State Reformatory. Yep. We'll see you in 5.
Forever is the strangest thing. It's shorter than you think. No think.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Appreciate everybody sticking around. We first half we talked Land Between the Lakes. This half we're going to talk about Ohio State Reformatory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that place was something else. Now, like I was talking about earlier, that I had to go during the day just to look at it. I just had to look at it. And Krista, I think we got a short little video of what it looks like from the front.
Okay.
And this place was a little intimidating. It was very intimidating.
Are you ready for me to play the video?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, Ohio State Reformatory. Look at this massive beast. Wow. Oh, that's what's happening tonight, everybody. And that's just the front.
So I have a question. What's with all of the cars?
They're taking tours during the day.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because you have to remember that this was the actual location that the Shawshank Redemption actually happened and was filmed.
Mm-hmm.
It was filmed there. So, they've got all the, all the stuff and everything in there. And so people do go in there and if you watch the movie and then walk through that place, you're like, oh my God, because you see it. It's still exactly the same way.
Yeah.
It's nothing has changed. And Cool Hand says that's a lot of ground to cover. You bet. You bet. Because I tell you what, my ankles were swollen, my knees hurt. I mean, it was just massive. The only place that we did not get to that was finally open, it hadn't been opened for a long time for investigations, was the basement. The basement was open. We just didn't have the time. We just didn't have it.
I understand
it was like,
that.
Wow.
From what I heard, and then go over most of it though.
Yes, we did. They have the West Wing and then they have the East Wing. The East Wing is the world's largest cell block. It is huge. It is
so
absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit of the history of what it was and that kind of thing?
Well, what it was is it exactly what it stands for. Ohio State Reformatory. What it was meant to do is to take in prisoners, rehabilitate them, and then send them off back into the world.
You got this picture. I'm going to throw that up there. Okay.
Yeah. That's, and that's what it was supposed to be when it was first built. It was built back in the 1800s, and that's what it was meant to be. You know, it turned into more than that.
Like these criminals and like try to reform them and then just turn them loose again.
Yes. So you would call it like a minimum security facility. Now you have to keep in mind that there is another minimum medium security prison that is working behind this.
Yes.
So behind that building, there is still a facility there, and it is a prison, and it's there.
Yeah.
And it becomes really intimidating. And in this building, there are windows that face that, and you cannot take pictures going, looking down on that facility. There, it's not allowed.
Gotcha.
that's for their own security and things like that. And I respect that. You know, you don't need anybody taking pictures and laying out an escape plan or anything.
No.
So I get it. I get it.
Wow.
But we did a lot of walking around and things like that. We did hear a disembodied scream. Now that was heard by 3 of us that were together at the time. And not only did the 3 of us, I think everybody on either wing heard it. It was just not on one wing, it was on both, but it was a disembodied scream that we had heard. I couldn't tell if it was male or female. I can tell you that it was higher pitched, but I can't tell you. I can't tell you. Yeah. So that was real strange. We got walking around the cells, but you have to be careful in the cells because if you shut the door, that door is shut. There are no keys to unlock them. They can't unlock them. The stuff no longer works. They no longer have keys to the place. So you cannot shut the cell doors.
Well, you know what would be creepy? I don't know if I'd walk in the cell just because what if a ghost shut the door or something on you? That would be my fear, running in the back of my head. Like, you know, man, do I go in here because...
Yeah, you get that feeling. You know, you get that feeling like you're totally being watched from one end to the other. Yeah. And you know, I did put out a video on our Facebook page because YouTube wouldn't let me go live there. So I had to put it on Facebook. So it is out there so you can get a good view of what I was actually looking at. Yeah. And I mean, I'd start on one floor of the cell block and walk one end to the other. And it was, you just kept walking and walking and walking and walking and walking. And it just never stopped. Yeah. I didn't get to meet any spirits that I know of. I don't, except for one, and I will talk about that. I don't know if his name was George or not. Like I said, I mean, I heard a disembodied voice. There was a lot of shadow play up and down, you know, all over the place, really. Yeah. You could hear like shuffling going on and things like that, but it wasn't one of the most active places I've been.
Really?
No, it just wasn't. It wasn't. I heard the typical stuff, you know, walking around, you're going to hear other people walking around, things like I heard that. But was it an excessive amount of activity? No, it was not. But was it cool activity? Absolutely. Absolutely. The thing is I wasn't listening to the audio this time. Heather Mosier from Small Town Monsters was with us at this, you know, when she went to the event with us. And so I had her all hooked up to the audio. So when I had her hooked up, I couldn't hear what she was hearing. And normally that's what I do. So I was kind of like, oh.
So did Heather mention anything she had heard or anything?
Well, she did, but I'm asking her and she goes, yeah, but I hear something. And then she's like, what was that? And so on my audio, you'll hear me yell out Mark, or, you know, so I know to go back and listen to that specifically. There are a few parts that I want to go back because I know I heard something. And, you know, like I said, we went up, there was a chapel we went through. We went outside into the bullpen. We went.
So let me ask you a question. What kind of people? I know it's a reformatory, but I mean, what kind of people were sent here? Were they people like with mental issues? Were they criminals such as murderers, or what kind of people were housed here?
Like I said, in the beginning, it was like a minimum security prison, maybe minimum to medium security. Like I said, these were the people that didn't have violent. They didn't have violent felonies. They didn't have violent felonies at first. Yeah. Then I got all kinds of strange.
Well, real quick, little Patty makes a comment, and that's something to touch on. Says, "Wow, I'm surprised when I went, I got bombarded." That's the thing with the paranormal, though. Anytime you do ghosts, one time this place can be so active, and the next time it's just a dud.
Yeah.
It's, you just never know. That's with the paranormal. It's very unpredictable, and, you can't go and say, oh, I'm going to see a ghost tonight, because it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just seen that comment.
No, there are times that Krista and I will go to a location and there's been so much happening, and then the next time we go, we're just sitting in the corner sleeping because there's nothing happening. It just depends on how they feel. Being that my group was all women, I figured that we would have more activity than what we had, because we didn't run around with the guys that were in the group. They were with other little groups. We had a whole bunch of little groups. They were with the other groups, and we were all women. So I figured we would have more, and we just didn't. Wow. Did we get the creepies? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But that brings me up to a point where I seen something at this prison that I'd never seen before in my life. This was something that happened, and it happened multiple times, and I can't explain it. I tried to debunk it, and I can't. So this is up in the very top area, which is the attic. The attic is super huge. It goes the length of one of the cell block. Wow. I think it goes over the west cell block, if I'm correct. I think it goes over the west cell block, and it's huge. So back when the Columbus Penitentiary burnt down, now this is way back when, they had a whole bunch of guys. Now these were the worst of the worst, super bad guys. They put them all in the attic to house them while they were rebuilding the other. Wow. Now I'm going to tell you what's bad. There was no cells up there. Wow. They were just beds up against the wall. They had, it looked like 2 showers and 3 toilets at the very other side of it. And that's all they had for all of these aggressive, violent murderers.
Wow, that's crazy. Like, they just let them all bunk together, no cells, no nothing.
They put them all in there and shut the door.
Was there any guards up there with them?
No.
No?
Nope. They just shut the door on them. They would give them their food.
How many were up there?
I don't know the exact number right in my head, but I know it was way too many. It was a bunch. It was a bunch, because they were trying to house the people, the guys from the Columbus prison that had burnt down. So they had nowhere for them to go. But in this particular room, there are windows up there, but they're bricked. So there is no sunlight coming in there at all. There's nothing. There's no lights could get in there. Possibly no lights. None. Wow. So there was 4 of us that decided that we were going, because we were a group of 5. So there was 4 of us at the first time that we decided we're going to go all at the other end and sit there and see what happens. Heather Mosier was telling us about a strange beam of light that she saw up there, and she couldn't explain it. So she wanted us to see if we could see it. So we sat there, and then all of a sudden you seen this beam of light come down at the front of the doorway. And I want to call it like a very light blue, almost white light. And you seen it come down. And then it comes up, and then it goes up on the wall. And in the meantime, you hear feet shuffling, you hear things moving, all this stuff is going on. But then you see this blue thing coming across, and it's going across the wall right next to us on the left side. Wow. So, then here we are. One of the girls says, "Hey, turn on the flashlight. This is freaking me out." I'm like, okay. So I turn on the flashlight really quick. Nothing there. There's nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Okay, that's weird.
So then we're like, okay, let's do it again. So I shut off the light, and we waited. Next thing you know, here it goes again. And you see it, and it starts moving up, but it's moving differently. But as it's coming down, you see it coming down close to the floor in the middle, not on the wall, but it's in the middle of the room. You can actually see legs walking in this light.
Oh, that's weird.
So, then we flick the light back on because, this is freaky. This is something I've never seen. Now, I've seen orbs and I've seen things,
Right.
Masses that have their own light, and I get it, but I'm seeing legs walking in this thing. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, let's do it one more time. So we did it one more time and we waited. And then it comes again. But to me, it's
How long
looking
did
like
you have to wait before the light came?
after the first initial time, not that long at all. Not that long at all. It was like it was getting used to us, so it would keep coming back.
Right.
And then it was actually kind of like we were telling it to come closer, and it would. It would come closer.
Wow.
So, but the third time that I seen it, it was kind of like on the other side, on the right side, and then it kind of went down, and then it moved to the left side. But in this point, we're all sitting there now. It is pitch black. You got to remember, we have no lights. There are no windows. We've got nothing. It's pitch black in there. And then all of a sudden, I can't see the light no more. It went blacker than black in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
It was as if something stood. It stood right in front of me.
Yep.
And then it moved. And then you could hear one of the girls go, hey, something is right here. I don't want to tell you that, but there's something right here. She said, I can see it moving.
Wow.
And I said, I know. It was just right in front of my face.
Wow. Wow.
So later we came back and we brought the fifth person with us. So we're all sitting up there. And the fifth person hasn't seen this. So she was sitting there in the chair and she's watching it in awe. And then the next thing you know, something blacks her vision out. She can't see. But the funny thing is she was sitting in the same exact seat I was sitting in when it happened to me.
Interesting.
We didn't move the chairs. She sat in the same chair I sat, and it happened to her.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Right. So we went out to explore other things, and we thought we'll do it one more time because, we're trying to figure this out because you can't video it. You just can't video it because if you look at it straight on, you can't see it. It kind of blends in, blurs out. But if you look just like right above it, it was like, there it is. I don't know if I met George, little Patty. I don't know. I didn't get anybody's names that night. I didn't run any
maybe
spirit
she's
boxes
saying
or
that
anything.
was George. I think that's what she's saying. Maybe that's what you witnessed was George.
Okay, so then that may be George. Yeah, I met him several times that night, if that is George. If that's George, I met him several times. Anyway, so we went up there one last time, but there were people in there, but they were being loud. They had all this equipment in there going off and filming and doing all this other kind of stuff. And we're like, that's not how it happens. You got to go in there. You got to shut everything down and you just have to watch and listen. Now, I did put an audio recorder in there while we were in there. And yeah, I picked up the walking. I picked up the noises. I've got all that on my audio. And the last time, when it came out, when we finally got back up there after everybody moved out of there with all the equipment and everything, we went back in there just as quiet, sat down, no equipment, no nothing except my audio recorder. And he came back out, but he was very, very faint.
Yeah.
Very faint. It's kind of like they wore him out or they did something, or I don't know what happened. So he was coming out and he was moving, but he didn't come down to us as far as he did before.
Yeah.
And so we just started talking to him and all this other kind of thing. And then he started coming down a little farther, but he was so faint. And we had made mention of, you don't have to stay here with us. We know you're tired. You don't have to worry about it. We've seen you. And we thanked him and blah, blah, blah. Well, started walking right back off towards the door and disappeared.
Wow. That's crazy. That's pretty cool though. That's pretty cool.
So like if if you want to get a closer look of what I was looking at, you definitely can go to our Facebook page because it is on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, so you can get a look at what I was looking at. Some of it was a little sketchy.
Yeah.
It was a little sketchy. I was scared that something was going to pop out in front of me or I don't know, grab me in a cell. I did,
Right.
but something else did happen. Something did happen. I was on the West Wing, first floor, and I was talking to somebody, and they were standing against the wall, and I'm standing against the cells. Now, there's not a whole lot of room where we were standing.
Mm-hmm.
So we weren't that far apart. I think it was in solitary. I'm just going to say that, solitary. And the doors, of course, on all these cells are open. And it was down in solitary. And there's not that much room between the wall and the cell. And I was standing there and I had my back to the cell of the open door. And I did feel something poke me.
Yeah. Wow.
It just poked me. Why would a spirit choose to haunt a place that wasn't a happy place for them? I will tell you about that. Or a lot of people have spent so much time being institutionalized that's all they know.
Yeah.
That's all they know.
Yep.
So, I mean, they wouldn't go anywhere else because they don't know anything else, but some do, I'm sure. But for a lot of them, they don't know it. They don't know anything. That's it. That was their life.
Right.
So that's why they would stay.
Absolutely. I do want to answer a question too, Freaky Geek.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. What's a Constantino? So Terry Mosby had said she was there years ago with the Constantinos. The Constantinos, they're people. They were a married couple. It's Mark and Debbie Constantino. They were on ghost adventures quite a bit, and they have a rather sad story, to be honest with you. Mark shot his wife and killed her, and then he turned the gun on himself. So, and that was maybe 8 or 9 years ago, guessing.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago. I still remember when it happened.
Yeah. And a lot of people say
day.
that he was not that type of person, that probably there was something that was influencing him. I've heard that.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's what a Constantino is. Just wanted to answer that for Freaky Geek.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, like I said, I was leaning up against the wall or the door, and it wasn't closed. And I felt somebody poke me, not once, but twice, real quick, like a poke, like, hey, and they poked me right from that cell door.
Yeah.
So I kind of sidestepped it and I looked in. I was like, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
Like, it's not the first time. It just kind of freaks you out, but I didn't have a lot of that. I didn't have a lot of that at all. I didn't have disembodied voices like I normally do.
Yeah.
It was real quiet for me. It was really quiet for me. But that doesn't mean anything. Like I said, it could be haunted, like nobody's business. But for me that night, it was very quiet.
Yeah.
But like I said, if Lil Petty is right, if the name is George.
Yeah.
George is something that I've never seen have legs and walk in something like that. I saw him walk and he was illuminated.
Yeah, that's really cool.
He was all kind of glimmery. And we thought we were crazy, talking about it. And then we heard other people talking about it. And then one of the guys who is the tour guide there, and he also stayed for our event that night. And I said, did you ever sit up there and then it's like almost like something stood in front of you, like blacker than black, like somebody stood in front of you.
Absolutely.
He said, yep.
Mm-hmm. I think once you're into and you've done the paranormal long enough, you'll encounter that. I think we've all encountered that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just, it was very weird for me because I didn't feel anything until that one stepped in front of me, and I was like, oh, you're a little closer than I want you to be. You're a little closer, because like I said, it was right there in front of our faces.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, did I enjoy it? Absolutely 100%. Awesome. Would I do it again? Yeah. Because there's more to that place than I got to see.
Yeah. Freaky Geek says, sort of sounds like you experienced his spiritual enlightenment when seeing the legs in light. Could be wrong, but you could have with George,
I don't know, but that is the first time that I have ever seen a partial apparition glimmer as bright as it did, because you'd watch it and you would talk to it and its responses would be, it would flicker super bright. It would get real bright and then it would go down. And that's how it would answer you when you were talking, when you were talking to it. And he would just brighten up or not.
Yeah.
But Crazy. I've never seen legs walking across the floor in my life like that. Like I said, I would call him the Glimmer Man is what I would call him.
Right.
Because like I said, he was bright and he was just right there.
That
and it's
would
like
have been a cool experience. I got to say, that would have been a cool experience.
It was.
How did you feel? Feel like it was something negative, or how did you feel? Like
fine.
Yeah.
I was fine up until I had that thing step in front of my face. Now, did it feel demonic? No. Did it feel like a nasty? Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It felt like somebody very grumpy, like I was giving my attention to something else. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to stand in front of me and block my view because they didn't want me to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of ghost, I want to announce to everybody, we are going to be doing a special location live show on Saturday, December 9th, live from the Ray County Museum. And and we will bring that to you guys. We're going to do a live show. Terry, who is in chat, she's going to come hang with us. And we actually have KD Stafford who's going to be there that night. He's going to hang with us, him and his wife. And then War Criminal's going to be there. And then, of course, our friend Greg Ogles.
Yeah.
Who's going to be speaking at the Alabama Bigfoot Conference. But he just put out a video, Legend of the Downy Booger. He's actually going to shoot make a documentary on the museum that weekend. So that's going to be cool. That's going to be fun. And then Kathy and Aaron, who run that museum. So it's going to be a good weekend. We're going to have fun.
Yeah. So and it's going to be cool because, we're going to try different experiments this time and see what happens and change up partners. And
once again, we have the paranormal mad scientist going to be there. So no telling what you guys are going to get to see.
Right.
And that's going to be a special show. We'll still be doing our Thursday and Friday night shows. So that'll be on Saturday, December 9th. And we'll announce it, but we'll announce the time. It'll be 8 or 9 o'clock Central Time.
You're going to get 3 nights of us, and we're going to go live on investigation night and, do it up right this time, which is going to be so cool.
Yeah.
Because the museum always gives me something different. Every time it gives me something different, Oh,
yeah.
So I'm excited.
The museum is one of the few places that really honestly don't disappoint.
Right.
And here's the thing. So the museum closes for the winter. And right now it's closed. And so there's nobody in there ghost hunting. There's nobody in there doing anything. So it's kind of cool when it sits dormant for a little bit because knock on wood, I'm hoping it'll be active.
They get lonely.
Nobody's been in there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They do get lonely.
They get lonely.
So I'm hoping for some good activity that night, and we can bring you guys some cool stuff. Like I said, KD Stafford, he just makes weird stuff, with the paranormal
and then there's Terry. Now Terry told me that she's gonna camp out in one of these haunted rooms with me that night.
You're gonna sleep. Which room are you guys gonna sleep in?
I don't know. We haven't figured it out yet. I got to get with her. I figured we'd talk about it when we got there.
Do you guys want a scary room or a not so scary room?
I think we're going to pick something a little bit creepy.
The basement.
I think we're going to pick a little something creepy,
The basement, the jukebox room.
Yeah, that's possible. We'll see.
And then put your bed right where the guy was chained on the floor.
That's possible.
Oh, you may not get much sleep because he's very active when people sit around, that circle down there.
He is active, but we'll see. Like I said, we may be feeling another room. We don't know. Like I said, it always gives me something different every time I go. So Terry's like, LOL, I'm in. So, so Terry and I and whoever else wants to, we're going to
Yeah.
pick scary rooms and we're just going to have a slumber party.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Well, I'm gonna just stay in the apartment. That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna try to sleep that night.
Right?
Y'all can pick any room. There's 54 rooms in that building.
Yes. And we'll pick something.
Mm-hmm.
You
Now
know.
I have slept in the it was the funeral parlor back then, but I have slept in there a few times, and it's right outside like the main hall, and you can hear things walking up and down the steps and stuff like that, but nothing crazy.
Yeah. I'm totally interested in it because I like, that's when I like to lay my equipment out. So if I do fall asleep, something will go off and wake me up or something.
Or if you want real scary, you could do the schoolhouse room where we had that incident.
Maybe I'll go across the hall. Maybe I'll just watch it. I'll watch it across the hall because that's the band room. Isn't that the band room right there? And I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
that room's not exactly a quiet room either. That whole back area.
That whole back area is something else. That is something else.
Yeah. Paranormal Pixie, our friend Kathy, she is the administrator of the Ray County Museum. So yes, we stay at the museum when we go there.
Yes.
Yep. And same thing with Malvern Manor. Josh Hurd is gracious. He lets us crash there too. So
which is nice. That means, we don't have to put out money for hotel rooms, but, some get quite expensive, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Ashmore, we are staying there too, but it's he has, I guess you'd call them bunk rooms.
Yeah, they're bunk rooms, but they're bunk rooms. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna crash there too. So all three locations we're staying at when we do our events. But the museum, like I said, that's kind of our home base. We go there a lot. I've probably, I can't even tell you how many times I've been to the museum, not even just ghost hunting, just going up there and hanging out with Kathy. And, it's
Terry's asking, when are we doing that?
It's December 9th, sister.
She's like, what? Wait.
We just talked to her about that. Yeah. I think her and Holly were coming.
Right.
Yep. So anyway, but that'll be a fun weekend. So definitely stay tuned. That Saturday evening, we're going to bring you a live show, and we'll be doing some investigating. And like I said, Greg Ogles will also be there, and War Criminal. However, War won't be on film, but he'll be there with us. So
right.
It's going to be fun. Yeah.
Yep.
Scotty B says if the rooms are numbered 13, should be an interesting room to stay in. They're not numbered. Each room at the museum is themed. So there's like a World War II room. There's an old doctor's room. There's a grandma's kitchen. There's, the school room, and it's all different themes. So they're not really numbered.
Right.
So, yeah. She said, Terry, she says, oh, hell, I forgot. LOL. I'm coming. My new job is making me lose my mind.
Well, it's a good thing we said something, Terry. It's coming up quick. It's coming up quick.
That it is. And you know what? We're coming up to the hour and a half mark, Brandi.
Already.
Yeah, we've been just chatting away, man.
Absolutely. But I mean, I went to a place that was on my bucket list.
Yep.
I don't know if I'll ever get the chance because, this one's a high dollar one. Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever get the chance to do it again. Mm-hmm. But at least I did it. And I've seen almost all of it. So I'm happy with that.
Oh,
I'm happy with that.
No, very cool. Very cool. I'm just like, as I've told people before, I don't know. I'm going to these places. There's a few, that I'll go to and like, help raise money for, keeping the lights on and things like that. I don't mind doing that, like our events that we're doing. But just to go and like you did, it's just not my thing, But I understand that's your thing and that's what you like to do. So
I do. I want to see it. I want to see it for myself, because I spend an enormous amount of time watching different channels go to these places and do these things. And I'm like, I want to go.
Yeah. And if anybody's into the paranormal, while we're sitting here, there's a few channels that I really like, and that I'm going to give plugs to, that do go out and if you guys are into the paranormal at all, there's no Bigfoot or none of that kind of stuff. It's just strictly ghosts. But the one is Paranormal Nightmare. They're the Foreman brothers, and there's 3 of them, and they do more severe private cases. And go in and help people. And their show is phenomenal. They put out a new show every Friday night. And then there's another one that I watch, and it's called The Paranormal Files. And that's a good one. It's a younger kid and his dad. They go around to different places like Ohio State Reformatory and different places around the United States. And, ghost hunt. So that's a good one. I recommend that channel as well. Brandi, do you have any that you want to throw out there?
Actually, I like watching the smaller channels go. I really do. I'll search around for anybody going live, like on the weekend or something. And I'd like watching them because I want to see their faces and things, especially at locations I've already been, to see if they've run into something different. Because, the bigger channels, they've got better equipment and stuff like that. I'm like, let me see the little guy. I want to see what the little guy does, which sometimes it makes me laugh, They do get screaming and yelling and running around.
Absolutely. I mean, they just, I don't know.
Yeah,
I like the
watching little channels.
Yeah. I really do like the Foreman brothers, and I know you do too.
I do. I really enjoy watching them.
Blondes and Booze too, because they're good shows, and they do what I like doing. They're out helping people. And that's my thing. I like doing.
Well, they've been doing a lot of stuff. They went, what did they go? The Ashmore states. They've gone to a couple of, they're doing a lot of stuff. I think they're running, I think they're kind of slow on home cases. So they're doing a lot of bigger places right now. So that's a good way to see some of these bigger places they get into also. Yeah,
absolutely. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to Shane. Thank you very much. West Coast
Thank you, Shane.
Project. If you haven't done so, go over to Facebook. He's got West Coast Dogman Project. He's got West Coast Bigfoot. He's got West Coast UFO. He's got West Coast Skinwalker. Did I name them all?
Did you get Alien? UFO?
UFO, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think you got them all.
Yeah, so go over to Facebook. And he also has a YouTube show that I believe they do on Thursday evenings. I think they come on an hour before us. So if you
but they're on hiatus. They're on hiatus to left or football.
Yeah. But still, go over and subscribe to them because they have some quality interviews, that they
have really good content. So check it out.
They do. And thank you, Shane. We definitely appreciate you. So anyway, we're going to call it a night. And like I said, appreciate everybody tuning in. And tune in on Monday night, Brandi on Texas Front Porch. Tuesday, I'll be on Beyond BMR with BMR. And then Wednesday.
Check out our Facebook page. Don't forget, you can go back and watch my whole walkthrough on Facebook from last weekend.
And then Wednesday night, Brandi and I will both be on Inhumanoids with Barton Nunnelly. He's got a great guest. That's all I'm going to tell you guys. You guys will like this guest.
Yes.
And then Thursday and Friday, you're right back here with us. So tune in, and we appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you very much. Until
thank you
next time. Have a good night,
until
everybody.
next week.
Bye-bye.